Today's lesson is Frozen in Time, The Wonders of Pompeii. Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Sam.
And today we're going to travel to Italy. We're going to go to a place called Pompeii, which is near Naples in Italy. I understand that you've been there before, Sam, right?
Yes, I actually have. It was kind of a shorter tour kind of thing because it was part of this giant month-long tour through Europe, so I didn't spend as much time there as I probably would have liked. But it still was a very interesting experience because you get to see some really cool stuff that is super, super old. And also, as we will see in the article, some things that are a little bit disturbing to see. It's kind of hard to say how you actually feel because you do get to see some body casts of people who got trapped in the eruption, but a very interesting experience.
Sounds pretty cool. I guess if I were to go to Italy, that would not be the first place I would go to. Of course, if I were to go to Italy, I'd like to try the food there. I understand it's really, really great. But yeah, Pompeii is a cool place to check out if you've got the time. And it's frozen in time. And we'll talk about what that means in just a second. So let's dive right in. Let's listen to the first part of our lesson right now, and we'll be right back.
Frozen in Time, The Wonders of Pompeii. Located near modern-day Naples, Pompeii was a thriving Roman city when tragedy suddenly struck. On a summer day in AD 79, Mount Vesuvius erupted nearby, burying the city in ash in a matter of minutes. The sudden disaster preserved buildings, streets, and even the remains of some residents. This has made Pompeii one of the world's most important archaeological sites. In fact, excavations that began there in the mid-1700s essentially marked the beginning of modern archaeology.
大家好，第一部分介绍形容词 thriving， 它的意思是繁荣的、兴盛的。例如 Ivan hopes to turn the small bakery into a thriving business within a few years. Ivan 希望在几年内将这间小面包店变成一家繁荣的企业。或者The small town was once a thriving mining community. 那个小镇曾是个繁荣的采矿社区。下一个看到这个动词 erupt， 表示火山喷发、事件或情绪等的爆发，突然发生。例如 All the people in the town had to leave quickly when the volcano began to erupt. 当那座火山开始喷发，镇上所有人不得不迅速离开。或是The oil worker got blasted with steam that erupted from a pipe. 钻油工人被管线喷出的蒸汽冲击。
All right, so yes, we are looking at Frozen in Time, The Wonders of Pompeii. And this is talking about a city that was a long, long time ago, so let's just see exactly what happened. So it says, located near modern-day Naples, Pompeii was a thriving Roman city when tragedy suddenly struck. So we have this city in kind of ancient Roman times, and it was thriving. If something is thriving, it's not just surviving, it's not just making it through, barely scratching the surface and just doing okay. It's doing great. There are a lot of people. There's probably a lot of industry. There's a lot of trade. It's a good city. It's a thriving city. It's a place that people want to live or visit in this ancient Roman time.
Right. So, of course, a person can thrive if they move to a city. Maybe you live in Hualien. It's a great town. It's quiet. It's clean. But in your career, you're not really going anywhere. So you decide to move to Taichung or Taipei, and then your career will thrive. And here, the Roman city of Pompeii was a thriving place. It was doing quite well. There were lots of people there making lots of money. It was very prosperous. But then tragedy suddenly struck. On a summer day In AD 79, Mount Vesuvius erupted nearby, burying the city in ash in a matter of minutes. Okay, so yes, Mount Vesuvius is a mountain there in Italy, and it's also a volcano, and it erupted. Now, we talk about that when we talk about volcanoes blowing their tops, and of course, we had lava and ash falling down on this city very quickly in just a matter of minutes, maybe even a matter of seconds.
Yes, and then it says the sudden disaster preserved buildings, streets, and even the remains of some residents. So, of course, this is a tragedy, but with how fast the ash and everything was moving, it was actually able to kind of freeze everything that was there in exactly where it was at that moment when it was kind of covered in this ash and lava and everything else. And so you even can see some remains of the residents. Now, when we use remains in this way, because of course you might hear like something remains and so it stays behind, but if you're talking about the remains of a resident or remains of a person or an animal or something like that, that is just the body of that thing that has passed away. So these residents, of course, they got covered in ash. They did not survive, but their remains stayed behind.
Now, here it says in the next sentence, this has made Pompeii one of the world's most important archaeological sites. That word is a mouthful there. I almost stumbled on it myself there. Archaeological. Archaeology, of course, is 考古学 in Chinese. That, of course, is the study of things that are buried underground from ancient civilizations.
Yes, and so if you are trying to study these types of things, well, you first have to dig them up. And so it says, in fact, excavations that began there in the mid-1700s essentially marked the beginning of modern archaeology. So excavations, that's the noun form of the verb excavate, which means to dig up. And we usually use this when we are talking about digging kind of deeper for something that's been buried for a long time, or you need to dig a deeper hole to maybe build a building. You need to first excavate the land before you build something. And basically, because of how important this site was, it basically started the entire modern movement of archaeology. So they dug stuff up, they realized, oh my gosh, we have something so important, and that's what basically started the study of archaeology.
Right, so when they dig things out of the ground, we excavate. X means outside, and cavate there, or cave, well, it means cave or something that is hollow. So yeah, they just dig things out of the ground, and I guess that's the first time they started doing that. Later on, of course, they started digging these strange bones out of the ground. What the heck are those? Later they figured out that those were dinosaurs. And again, the science of doing this is called archaeology, and the adjective is archaeological. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Here's the second part.
Over the years, Pompeii has provided amazing insights into Roman society. Some of the most famous discoveries include grand villas, shops, and ordinary objects that shed light on ancient Roman life. Body casts of the eruption's victims, created by using plaster to fill voids left in the ash, are among the most haunting sights. Other significant discoveries include a mosaic depicting Alexander the Great and graffiti revealing personal and political messages. Surprisingly, only 2/3 of Pompeii have been excavated so far, and discoveries continue to this day. One striking recent find is a huge banquet hall with frescoes of figures from Greek myths, like Helen of Troy and the god Apollo. A spectacular private bathhouse was also recently discovered. Possibly the largest in any Pompeian home, it features hot, warm, and cold rooms decorated with lively frescoes of athletes. Nearby, the skeletons of a woman and a young man were also found. While the woman's bones were in relatively good condition, the young man's showed considerable wear and tear, which suggests that he may have been a slave.
第二部分看到名词 insight， 指深入了解、洞察力、洞见。例如 Hugo offered his insights on the company's future strategy. Hugo 提出了他对公司未来策略的洞见。也可以说 The discovery gave scientists insight into the human mind. 该发现让科学家们得以深入了解人类的思想。接着介绍动词 depict， 表示描绘、刻画。我们可以说 The photographs in the exhibition depict various stages of the city's transformation. 该展览中的照片描绘这个城市转变的各个阶段。又或者说 The novel depicts Greece as an idyllic paradise. 那部小说把希腊描绘成田园风光的天堂。继续看到形容词 striking， 意思是引人注目的、异乎寻常的、令人惊艳的。例如 The striking beauty of the area made it a great place to take photographs. 此区引人注目的美景使其成为拍照的好地方。再看一个例子 I was blown away by the striking beauty of the waterfall. 我被那个瀑布异乎寻常的美丽所折服。
All right, so in the second part, it says, over the years, Pompeii has provided amazing insights into Roman society. So again, since this city was so well preserved, they were able to really start to understand more about Roman society. And it gave them a lot of insights. Now, insight is some kind of deeper meaning or deeper look into something that you might be studying or getting more information on that thing. Of course, they knew that the ancient Romans were around, they knew about them, but now they could kind of see what was a city really like because the buildings are even still there and they can see what does this actually look like to be an ancient Roman person.
Exactly. So, of course, we do know quite a few things about Rome. They kept records and things like that, but we really don't know what life was like back then. They did not have video cameras and things like that, or tape recorders or whatever. So this gave us some special information, some special insights into the society of Rome. And some of the most famous discoveries include grand villas, shops, and ordinary objects that shed light on ancient Roman life. So these are some of the things that were preserved because the lava kind of served like a plaster cast, for example. When you have a broken leg, for example, you have plaster put on your leg to keep it in the same position. I guess the lava from the volcano did the same thing. It preserved everything in its original form. So we've got some insights into Roman society. We've got grand villas. A villa, of course, is like a big house surrounded by a garden. We see this word a lot. And, of course, they also had shops, stores where things were sold. And then ordinary objects, like combs or furniture or whatever. All these things shed light on Roman life of the time.
Yes, and to shed light on something is not literally to put a lamp on and make it brighter in that area. We use this to say that we didn't have as much information on that thing, and now we do. We've illuminated it in the sense of we have gained the knowledge to understand it better. So that is shedding light on a situation or shedding light on, in this case, ancient Roman life. And also, if we see the next part, this is how we kind of got to see the way that people were at the time of the eruption, because it says body casts of the eruption's victims created using plaster to fill voids left in the ash are among the most haunting sights. And so again, when the ash kind of covered these people, of course, over time, their bodies started to decompose and things like that, but they were still a shape around it. And so then they poured in this plaster that was left in that kind of hole of the ash. And that's where you can see these outlines of these bodies that were covered at this time. And these are considered haunting sites. If something is haunting, like you use this as an adjective to describe something, you are saying that it is scary, but more kind of deeper than that. It's kind of just gives you an off feeling of just, oh, this is something terrible that I am witnessing. And it is very true. When you can see them all laying there, they had them all in one area when I went, and watching them and looking at them kind of gives you this eerie, creepy, off feeling of those were people, and I'm looking at what they would have looked like in their final moments.
I think that's kind of how fossils form. I guess things cover dinosaurs and then the dinosaurs decay away, but there's a space still there, and then the space gets filled with limestone or whatever so they can dig those things out of the ground. And they look like dinosaur bones, although the original bones are long gone, but we still have the shape. It's kind of similar to what happened in Pompeii. Now, other discoveries that they made include a mosaic depicting Alexander the Great and graffiti revealing personal and political messages. So these are some other things they found. A mosaic, that's kind of like sort of work of art on a wall, right?
Yes, and it's usually made of maybe like different colored stones, and they kind of set them all together, and it almost ends up looking like a painting, but it's using different colors of rocks and stones and all these different things, and it says it depicts Alexander the Great. When we use this word depicting, or to depict something, is basically to make a picture of that thing. And so in this case, Alexander the Great, maybe he visited Pompeii, maybe they wanted to just say we know who he is and he is a great person, so they made basically a picture of him and put it on the wall.
Right, and we've also got graffiti. I don't think it's the kind of graffiti we see in cities with those wild fonts that nobody can read with lots of painting and lots of colors and things like that. But basically, graffiti is words written on walls, and these were messages that were personal or they were political, so that, again, gave us some insight into the Roman society of the time.
Yes, and so now if we continue, it says, surprisingly, only 2/3 of Pompeii have been excavated so far, and discoveries continue to this day, meaning still are happening even now, right now at this modern time. One striking recent find is a huge banquet hall with frescoes of figures from Greek myths, like Helen of Troy and the god Apollo. So one striking or important or amazing or big and interesting finding is a huge banquet hall, and a banquet hall would have been just a giant room or giant building that maybe they have big long tables that you would go to have a banquet. You would have a lot of people, you would have food, maybe you're celebrating something, maybe you're just there to eat for a holiday or a wedding or something like that. The actual building would be called a banquet hall.
Right, and they had frescoes of figures from Greek myths, like frescoes or paintings on ceilings like in the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City. And we had Helen of Troy and the god Apollo. That's pretty cool. That would be pretty cool to see. A spectacular private bathhouse was also recently discovered, a place where people went to take baths in public, possibly the largest in any Pompeian home. It features hot, warm, and cold rooms decorated with lively frescoes of athletes. That sounds pretty cool, too. I guess they had hot, warm, and cold water in those bathrooms, bathhouses.
Yes, and now it says, nearby, the skeletons of a woman and a young man were also found. The skeletons meaning, of course, the bones inside of our body that keeps our entire shape. While the woman's bones were in relatively good condition, the young man's showed considerable wear and tear, which suggests that he may have been a slave. Wear and tear is just the kind of damage that is done over time, not necessarily like you got in a fight and so you have wear and tear. No, you've been working hard for a long time, so your body has wear and tear, or you've had this car a long time, so just over time it has slowly gotten worse and worse or broken down a little bit.
Okay, we're at the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's wrap things up now with the third part.
While Pompeii's ruins provide valuable historical insights, preserving them remains a challenge. Conservation efforts, including the use of modern technology to monitor and restore sites, are essential to maintaining Pompeii's legacy. Additionally, 3D mapping and digital reconstructions allow researchers to study the city's past while reducing the need for further excavations. By balancing exploration with conservation, historians and archaeologists can make sure that Pompeii will continue to reveal its secrets for years to come.
第三部分看到名词 legacy， 它表示历史遗产、遗留物、遗赠、遗产。可以说 The artist's legacy continues to inspire new generations. 这位艺术家的遗作持续激励新世代。也可以说 Shakespeare's plays have left a significant legacy to theater. Shakespeare 的戏剧为剧场留下了重要的文化遗产。最后看到 exploration 这个单字，它是名词，指的是探测、探索、探究。举例来说， Space exploration has led to many important scientific discoveries. 太空探索带来了许多重要的科学发现。或者 During our exploration of the island, we found some very old ruins. 在探索该岛的过程中，我们发现了一些非常古老的遗迹。
Now here in the third part it says, while Pompeii's ruins provide valuable historical insights, preserving them remains a challenge. So it is true that these remains or these ruins are important in terms of history. It's still very challenging to preserve them. Of course, they might disappear over time. Conservation efforts, including the use of modern technology to monitor and restore sites, are essential, very important, to maintaining Pompeii's legacy. Okay, the legacy, of course, is the story that's passed on from the past. And of course, we know about Pompeii. It has a legacy. It is known about by many people. And the information about it has passed from generation to generation.
Yes, and additionally, 3D mapping and digital reconstructions allow researchers to study the city's past while reducing the need for further excavation. Because, of course, when things are exposed to the air and the elements, then they will start to get worse and worse over time. And so that's the idea that if they don't dig it up, it can hopefully stay preserved. By balancing exploration with conservation, historians and archaeologists can make sure that Pompeii will continue to reveal its secrets for years to come. So they want to balance exploration. Exploring is the verb. To explore means to go and you look at something that hasn't been looked at before. So the idea that we know there's still a lot of Pompeii that is buried and you want to explore and learn more, but you have to balance that with taking care of what's there and not letting it get destroyed.
And maybe over-tourism may be challenging to preserve these remains in Pompeii. Okay, we're at the end of our discussion for today. Here's our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny， 今天要来练习篇章结构的题型。这次文章是关于庞贝古城，题目有4个空格，但是有5个选项。我们来看这5个句子。 A 选项提到 A spectacular private bathhouse was also recently discovered. 最近还发现了一间壮观的私人浴室。这句的线索在于 private bathhouse 私人浴室，还有用到 also， 那就表示前文应该有提到别的发现。 B. The eruption that destroyed Pompeii was one of history's most deadly natural disasters. 摧毁庞贝的火山爆发是历史上最致命的天然灾难之一。从语义上推测，前文可能就有提到火山爆发。好 ，C 选项 Over the years, Pompeii has provided amazing insights into Roman society. 多年来，庞贝提供了关于罗马社会的惊人见解。那这句的线索在于 Roman society， 这表示后面的句子可能会接着阐述关于罗马社会的见解。那么 D，While Pompeii's ruins provide valuable historical insights, preserving them remains a challenge. 尽管庞贝的遗址提供了宝贵的历史见解，但如何保存它们仍是一大挑战。那这边就要注意有用到了转折词 while。一选项提到 This has made Pompeii one of the world's most important archaeological sites. 这使得庞贝成为世界上最重要的考古遗址之一。这句的线索在于 this 和 archaeological sites。那做题目的时候就要判断 this 指的是什么情况，能够使庞贝成为最重要的考古遗址之一。好，看完选项我们就来做题目吧。第一个空格呢是位于第一段，前文有提到维苏威火山在西元79年突然爆发，短短几分钟内就将这整座庞贝城掩埋在火山灰中。然而这场灾难却意外地保存了建筑、街道，甚至部分居民的遗骸。空格后方的句子则指出，事实上18世纪中叶开始的 挖掘工作基本上标志着现代考古学的开端。那从这个来判断，空格应该填入一个可以承接被保存的这一点，然后再衔接到考古学相关的句子。我们的选项一有提到，这也使庞贝成为全球最重要的考古遗址之一。句中的这个this 刚好就呼应前面提到那个火山灰保存遗址的特殊状况，而这个句子又能承接考古学的挖掘工作，所以是最适合的答案。第二个空格位于第二段开头，那接下来的内容它列举了许多重要的考古发现，包括别墅、商店以及能够揭示古罗马生活的普通用品等等。那这些发现都提供了对古罗马生活的具体理解。我们可以推断最适合答案会是 C。 他说多年来庞贝提供了关于罗马社会的惊人见解。那这句话也可以当作概括整个段落的主旨，又可以自然的引出后续的例子。好，第三个空格它位于第三段的中间。空格前面的叙述提到庞贝城目前只发掘了2/3的区域，而且仍有新发现持续出土，像是一座有希腊神话壁画的大型宴会厅。那么空格后面的句子则提到，这可能是庞贝住宅中规模最大的，其内部设有热水房、温水房和冷水房，并装饰着描绘运动员的生动壁画。这部分应该是在介绍某种浴场设施，跟前面的宴会厅无关。我们推测空格句子是用来引出另一项跟宴会厅并列的重大新发现。而选项 A 提到说，最近还发现了一间壮观的私人浴场。句子里面的 also 就呼应到前文提到的另一项新发现，而且私人浴场的特征有符合后面句子当中对建筑的描述，所以是正确答案。好，第四个空格它位于第四段开头，推测它是该段落的主题句。空格后面提到保存庞贝遗址所面临的挑战跟应对方法，例如运用现代科技进行监测与修复，使用 3D 地图绘制与数位重建技术，让研究人员能够研究古城的过去，以减少进一步的挖掘需求。我们可以推断这个段落呢是跟庞贝遗址的保存有关。那选项 D 它提到，尽管庞贝的遗迹提供了宝贵的历史见解，但如何保存它们仍是一大挑战。句子里面用到转折词 while 可以带出对比的语气，来承接上一段对庞贝价值的赞赏，又可以引出这个段落所探讨的保存议题，所以是正确答案。那至于没选到的选项 B， 摧毁庞贝的火山爆发是历史上最致命的天然灾难之一。虽然这是个事实陈述，可是在语义上并没有办法放进任何一个空格中，所以不能选哦。好，以上是今天的讲解，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Thriving. The town became a thriving community after the new highway opened. Erupt. A loud sound was heard when the volcano near the village erupted violently. Depict. Many old stories depict dragons as dangerous creatures with sharp claws and fiery breath. Striking. Olivia gave a striking performance that impressed all the judges and the audience. Skeleton. Dr. Wilson carefully examined the ancient skeleton that was found deep inside the dark cave. Legacy.
The Olympic Games are part of the rich history and legacy of ancient Greece.
Exploration. The team began their exploration of the Amazon rainforest last month with local guides. Insight. The book offers deep insights into human emotions and relationships through real stories.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Sam.
See you next time.